WTOL TV, Toledo. Straight from the newsroom, this is Toledo 11 News.
Love is in the air on this edition of the WTOL 11 Vault on Plus. We are celebrating Valentine's Day through the years. It's a chance for us to dive back into the archives and show off some original reporting from the time of WTOL 11. Now this week, we're taking a heartwarming journey from the classic date night decades ago to some vintage advice that rings true today, even some romantic stories for the ages.
Yep, I'm 74 years old, and I have a unique love story of an old gent who is just as gaga as he was 54 years ago when I met this gorgeous creature. Now, how's that fit you?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Keep going.
You keep going. Oh, you're not only gorgeous.
Jack Webb is reading a love letter about his sweetheart, 71-year-old Catherine Wackerly in Bay City, Michigan. He calls on Wednesdays, she calls on Sundays now, but they were apart for more than 50 years.
We'll meet some newlyweds and dive into the sweet traditions that have made this day of love so special. Even hear the reality of marriage through the ages.
Agree with one another on things. We do things together, dance, play cards.
Both couples say there's no substitute for time together, talking, listening, and sharing and expressing themselves.
Tell your wife that you love her once in a while. When it gets older, when you're older, it's kind of taken for granted.
This couple says tap into each other emotionally and become partners spiritually because the sex, not the passion, will fade over time.
It's not quite as 2 or 3 times a week like it used to be, or more.
And there are those of us that don't celebrate these Hallmark holidays and those of us who do. Either way, there are still some unique ways to tell your sweetie you love them from the WTOL 11 Vault.
No, this isn't Candid Camera. It's a surprise visit to Stephen Wang from Remember Me Peoplegrams. And you gotta admit, Angelique the maid certainly beats a dumb card or stale candy.
Do I look German to you instead of French? Because I come from Germany, you know.
A visit from Remember Me is not that easy to forget. If you're not up for a few ooh-la-las, a gorilla can deliver your balloons. And then there's my personal favorite, a flasher.
So grab some chocolate, snuggle up, and let's take a stroll down memory lane to celebrate love, past and present. We begin in 1994. Toledo 11's Dick Berry introducing us to some couples tying the knot, a florist doing big business, even something unique to warm your heart.
The Marriage Bureau at the Lucas County Courthouse. Busiest day of the year for picking up your license.
Elizabeth, will you have Derek to be your wedded husband?
I do. Busiest day of the year, too, for the courthouse preachers. 100 couples tie the knot by day's end. It's a double ring ceremony for Derek Stevenson and Elizabeth Sennett.
I just thought it would be a good day. We've known each other for 16 years and finally decided Valentine's Day would be a good day.
The other couple, Elizabeth's son Thomas and his fiancée, Lori Bolyard.
I couldn't wait till it happened.
Why is that?
It's been a while. We've been talking about this a long time.
And Mom was going to get married, so you figured, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's also the busiest day of the year for florists. The cost of saying I love you jumped, though. A dozen roses is $5 more this year than last.
Well, there was a freeze in South America, and because of the freeze, the roses were much scarcer today. Probably one of the worst years in 10 years for Valentine's Day roses.
Plenty of Valentine's Day love at the St. Vincent Medical Center. Kids and puppies together in the pediatrics unit. The Toledo Humane Society supplied the visitors to mark the 110th anniversary of the organization. Not all patients, though, plan to adopt their newfound friends.
Our bigger dog might eat it because we got a Great Dane.
Giving someone a new pet is the perfect way to say I love you. Whether you say it with flowers or with fur, just say it to someone close to you.
Anyone who's been in a relationship knows it's hard work. The love is there, but there are days when you might be frustrated, even mad. but we try to work through it. And the next couples Toledo 11's Luann Knipe introducing us to in 1992 are shining examples of the payoff of perseverance.
She was only 15 when they met. He was Moose, the high school football star.
We double dated a few times, and I thought, if I ever get him back, I'm not going to let him go. Sure enough, I mean, I got him.
And then she told me she had a lot of money, and she didn't.
Lowell romanced Jane into a June walk down the aisle and into the rest of their lives. 3 children later, it was the home where all the friends loved to gather.
Everybody was always laughing. Dad was always doing something really stupid to make everybody laugh, wasn't he? And Mom, she was just there being her regular ding-dong self, you know?
We used to have a lot of water fights, right in the house.
But all the laughter stopped one day almost 10 years ago when Lowell was bear hunting in Canada, fell out of a tree and broke his back, permanently paralyzed from the waist down.
Everything stopped, and it was every day back and forth to the hospital. Everybody was always trying to make sure Dad stayed psyched and, you know, involved with stuff. And Mom, she was the one who would always, you know, get involved.
At the beginning, she babied me, you know, which she shouldn't have, you know, babied me, and
he ate it up.
Yeah, but you know, it's as things went on, she, you know, got tougher.
So did Lowell. They pulled together once more.
Sometimes you get up to like 35, 40 mile an hour, you know, downhill.
Lowell enters marathons and races all over the country now. Here he is in the yellow shirt during last year's Toledo 11 River Run. Now the grandkids cheer him on, and his son races with him instead of hunting and fishing like they used to.
Now he's pretty independent. He's faster than I am. I mean, if we're going to go away, he can be dressed, he can be out. He's tooting horn, waiting on me, you know, so.
Lowell's shooting to compete in the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. And with this family's laughter, loyalty, and love, he's probably going to make it. Nay, Ohio, population 350. This is the English home. Dale and Rosie have lived here most of their married lives with their 4 children who have since left the nest. Life is simple here and always has been.
I always said in life, I believe you're missing out if you don't get up early in the morning. And I say that, but I don't do that.
We have 2 other couples that we like to go out for breakfast with, and there's 2 other couples that we play cards with, maybe once, go out and eat once a month, and then we never miss the ball games.
The last one in is our granddaughter right there.
The English's granddaughter is a star player at Fairview High School. Their son, her father, is the coach. Of all their accomplishments, the Englishes seem the proudest of how their children have grown up.
You look somewhere else and you can just tell the difference in kids. You know, they don't have much respect for their parents or anything, and I think that's sad. But I think it's partly because of the way they're brought up. I don't think it hurts to be stern with them and still love them.
Daughter Joni remembers her dad's technique when a boyfriend stayed too late one night.
I remember Dad just telling me that, the next day that he wasn't telling me, but he was just asking me, and I mean, just the way he put things like that, it just made you wanted to do what they wanted.
Besides parenthood, the philosophy and secret to this long marriage is respect and caring for each other.
We have ups and downs and spats here and there, but people say things that probably shouldn't have said to each other and in the family, and makes your heart kind of break. But true love and God's love, and it all comes back. And if somebody will say I love you once in a while, and that means a lot to you, and I think that's what keeps you going, really.
It's kept them going for 50 years now. 50 years this Valentine's Day.
Yep, I'm 74 years old, and I have a unique love story of an old gent who is just as gaga as he was 54 years ago when I met this gorgeous creature. Now, how's that fit you?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Keep going.
You keep going. Oh, you're not only gorgeous.
Jack Webb is reading a love letter about his sweetheart, 71-year-old Catherine Wackerly in Bay City, Michigan. He calls on Wednesdays, she calls on Sundays now, but they were apart for more than 50 years. Young teenage sweethearts, they were heartbroken when her family moved away, and a disapproving family kept them apart. Jack joined the Navy, Catherine married someone else. Later, Jack did the same.
We talk about what could have been or should have been, but there's neither one of us would want to give up our children, who I had with Marion and who she had with Bob.
When Catherine's husband died, years after Jack lost his wife to cancer, Catherine's 90-year-old mother called Jack one day to say maybe the family had made a mistake about him. Through the years, they had never forgotten each other. Catherine even kept an old newspaper clipping.
Still thought about him many times, a lot.
She went into her bedroom, she brought out a picture of me. I had a pretty nice write-up from being home from the service.
He's very, very special person. He's a very sensitive person, very understanding. Always was, still is.
It seems like the man above had something to do with it because why would the mother call after all those years?
The two aren't sure what the future holds for them. Right now, they're just happy to see each other when they can.
So I'll be calling you tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I love you.
Love you too.
That's a beautiful story, isn't it? Well, there's nothing like true love, but in 1997, Leanne Snook of Bowling Green wrote about a unique perspective. She penned a letter to Cosmopolitan magazine comparing the feelings men have for their cars with the way they feel about women. Since then, she and her husband Dick have opened a car museum in BG.
All his life, Jeff Snook has had a love affair with cars. He's collected 35 vintage vehicles, like this 1953 Jaguar. That got his wife, Leanne, thinking.
The names of cars, I think, are very sexual, or some of them are, like a Testarossa. I mean, that's in a probe. And
Jeff can relate to an article in this month's Cosmopolitan magazine. That's because Leanne wrote the piece. It's called Autoeroticism, when his car excites him more than you do. Here's a sample.
I suppose he finds it therapeutic to take curves at 90 miles per hour, wind whipping through his thinning hair.
Thinning hair, you know, I was flattered because I didn't think I had any hair. So if it's thinning, that's good.
Well, it's about how men often get more excited by their cars than they do by their wives, or they can sublimate their sex drives by fiddling around with their overdrives.
It's all lies, everything she printed about me.
And have you ever seen a sports car's thick, leather-covered stick shift with that neat little, well, head? Excuse me, but hasn't anyone else noticed that phallus jutting between bucket seats?
It's in my blood, I'm sorry. I'm a car guy, I'm a gearhead. I love them. Not as much as I love my wife, however.
In 1905, Sigmund Freud theorized that rhythmic mechanical agitation produces sexual excitement in children. And men, as we know, are children, only taller. And they wear ties.
Okay, that's enough. We think you get the point. On this Valentine's Day, the only affair you can tell Jeff Snook is having is with his talented wife, Leanne.
How about that? Now, when you find new love, it's exciting, and there's something special about that spark. As Rodney Timms told us in 1998, some of that might change, but that passion can continue to burn.
Time may cause most things and even people to deteriorate, but the love Sophie and Frank Kokoczynski share has gotten better over 25 years. It's also gotten stronger and sweeter for Jan and Stan Knowles, married some 63 years. Did I say 63 years? What's the secret for these ageless lovebirds?
Yeah, you've got to agree with one another on things. We do things together, dance, play cards.
Both couples say there's no substitute for time together, talking, listening, and sharing and expressing themselves.
Tell your wife that you love her once in a while. When it gets older, when you're older, it's kind of taken for granted.
She likes to do the things I like to do, and I'll do the things she likes to. That's the way we started.
Both say over the years they've continued to do many of the things they started out doing. And after all these years, they're still caring, tender, respectful, and seek to compromise at every turn.
It's a 50-50 proposition. You have to give and take. If you don't,
it won't work.
You can't have too much one way.
The no's say there is way too much emphasis, especially by young couples, on the physical and sexual part of a relationship. TV and magazine clips, article after article, the focus on sex is evident. This couple says tap into each other emotionally and become partners spiritually because the sex, not the passion, will fade over time.
It's not quite as 2 or 3 times a week like it used to be, or more.
It's not as lovey as it was when we was first married. But every so often, as I told you before, we do give a kiss, a hug, and we enjoy that.
Rodney Timms, Toledo 11, the News Channel.
Wow, huh? All right, finally, we're heading back to 1984. It's a year when Prince's When Doves Fly topped the charts. Ghostbusters was the highest grossing movie, and high hair, neon colors, and workout wear were popular. It's also the year Dick Barry showed off a unique business.
Now, I just want you to know that you have the happiest Valentine from Angelique.
No, this isn't Candid Camera. It's a surprise visit to Stephen Wang from Remember Me Peoplegrams. And you gotta admit, Angelique the maid certainly beats a dumb card or stale candy.
Do I look German to you instead of French? Because I come from Germany, you know.
A visit from Remember Me is not that easy to forget. If you're not up for a few ooh-la-las, a gorilla can deliver your balloons. And then there's my personal favorite, a flasher. Of course, not all deliveries go as expected. Case in point, an appearance here on Republic Boulevard by the Devil.
Hi. Mr. Miss Martin?
Yes, sir, please.
John Smart?
No, it's not.
It's not? Okay.
The wildest thing was when a gal went out and flashed, and the flash equipment didn't work well. Something fell, and the guy got a little bit more flash than he was expecting.
And as with Angelique, the Devil, and others, a peek at the flasher will cost you $50. Dick Barry, Toledo 11 News.
And though Remember Me's peoplegrams have come and gone, the memories will last forever. Before we go, a final message from a lovingly married couple.
Happy Valentine's Day, Dan. You gave me the best gift. You are the best husband. You let me go to Florida for a whole week in 83-degree weather, laying out in a pool of beautiful greenery while you're home in the snow and the ice and the cold. Thank you so much. I love you. You're the best.
Well, that's a surprise. I had no idea that was coming. Well, thanks for joining us here on the WTOL 11 Vault on Plus. We hope you enjoyed the look back at Valentine's Day throughout the years. Hold your loved ones close and keep that passion alive. From the WTOL 11 Vault, I'm Dan Cummins.